Hi, everyone. This is part 4 of the SKT deep dive. And I realized when I came to log on that I had forgotten to post this on my YouTube channel. But I pulled it together last minute, and hopefully at least it'll be there for the watch back, right? Move this a little more light. Go. So we have already talked about this whole chunk of the deck here, right? We have this 28 cards to get through, and hopefully it won't be like another 2-hour live, because I don't know if my voice can handle that. Okay. So we are starting with the 4s and going through into the 10s. Let me have a little sip of tea to help my voice. Aloha to anyone who is watching live. Lurkers welcome always. Let's see. What does the book have to tell us? So the realm of the 4s represents building, right? And the 4s represent, well, let's think, what is the 4 in the majors? It is the emperor, right? So the 4s represent reign, rule, and order. And in the Kabbalah tree of life, the realm of 4s arises from the Sephirah Chisad. Chisad? I'm sure there's multiple ways of saying it. The emanation of virtue, justice, and receptive intelligence. So we start here with the 4 of scepters, known as the demiurge, right? Let's bring this up. Aloha, Justin. Demiurge. This is the 4 of scepters, which the 4 scepters together with 4 wands create the 8-spoked wheel. So here in the foreground, we've got 2 maidens. This one here on the left is royal born. She's dressed in regal clothing. I don't know if you can see. Let's bring it up here. On her dress, there is a dove. Actually, there's also a dove on her chest as well. So those doves represent that she is faith. She represents faith and peace, and she's connected to the wheel with a garland of white lilies. Okay. The other one here, we have the archer with the emblem of rams upon her armor. So and her garland is red roses. And at the hub of the wheel, the center, we have the sun of Citrinatus, or the alchemical yellowing of consciousness. Right? It is the spark of creation and that which has begotten the demiurge. It's the sign of divine presence, the creator who has created the creator. They have a better picture of the castle that's in the background there. So this castle is set in the Holy Roman Empire, right? It represents security, sovereignty, power, romance. It's both a home and a fortress, right? And like I said, the setting is Holy Roman Empire in the early 14th century, at the start of Renaissance humanism, just before the Great Occidental Schism of 1378. Let me bring that image to you again. Right here in the center window is the image of a peacock, which unfortunately is pretty much covered up by the sun and wheel. but the peacock represents, well, in medieval Christian philosophy, it symbolized Christ's resurrection, but the peacock is also symbolic for abundance and prosperity. And the yellow sky is in reference to the Rider-Waite-Smith Four of Wands, and then the green here, all the green verdant, is in reference to the Thoth Four of Wands, Thoth, whatever you want to call it, to represent the Lord of Completion. So the primordial influences, astrologically, this card is connected to the Empress and the Emperor. Numerologically, it's connected to the fours, right? So the Emperor, the Reaper, and the Initiate is what was put here, which is a key 0. So that's interesting that that's connected that way. The Mather's attribution is perfected work, right? So this is basically talking about how you're bringing together war and peace, right? To create something that spirit is asking you to manifest into the physical realm. So like if you're an artisan, if you're not an artisan, it also is talking about like work-life balance, harmony in the domestic sphere, prosperity, right? Next, we have here the Four of Chalices. That is the hollow void. Let's bring that up for you to see. Tree, clouds, scorpion in the tree. Aloha, Kristen Louise. There's the cups. And there is a hand offering that bottom cup there. And then we have meditating aesthetic, monastic, we should say. So the meditating monastic is impervious to external world of offerings around them, right? A profound discontent has driven them here. They are practicing Seon sitting meditation, dressed in robes, signature of Korean Buddhism. They have put up walls, right? The arms can represent the walls around their mind. So they're that being able to block your mind is a precondition for finding one's path of light. In the background, can't even really see it on the card, I don't think. So behind the tree, behind the cups, you can kind of see that there is a temple back there. Luckily, Benebell always includes an image of the thing that's hidden in the Book of Maps. So the Bodhi tree, let me check. I don't know if she even talks about the tree. I don't remember talking about the tree. But let's get there. From the clouds offers a hand, offering a single chalice. And this one, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see the fine detail. But supposedly this one being offered has a band of jewels and metals from the overturned imperial crown on the Reaper card. They are not succumbing to the enticement of the single chalice, symbolic of emotional and material attachments, right? Completely detached. Rather, they seek to comprehend the Dharma through knowledge of the mysteries. The 3 chalices here feature the name of the Bodhisattva Kuan Yin. I don't know if you can even see that if I hold it up. So on the band there is the name of Kuan Yin. Aloha, Pamela, welcome. No, that would be the peacocks outside, Kristen Weiss. It's, there's a bunch with babies, but then the male peacocks be hens, right? So the peacocks have their tails. They're all displaying and calling out to like get attention. And peacocks have so many different sounds. One of them is that one that sounds like a screaming child. Yes, so that was a peacock that you heard. So let's see. Each of these three chalices bear the Dharma wheel. The three chalices symbolize monastic yield to faith and destiny. So that's what those are. And then coming back to the meditating monk, you see the tattoos on the upper arms and lower arms. So in the lower arms are one Korean variant of Om Mani Padme Hum, and on their two upper arms, a second variant, Om Mani Padme Hum. So yeah, the lower arms are Om Mani Padme Hum, and the upper ones are Om Mani Padme Hum. So there is the Korean is in here in the book of maps. So there's the two. The feet are considered to be in a half lotus position rather than a full lotus, symbolizing they have only been newly initiated onto the path. And then the same scorpion that you see in the Reaper card is perched in the tree. Quite a lot of references to the Reaper in the Four of Chalices here. Right? And that scorpion represents Serket, goddess of magic and healing. Right? She's the Egyptian goddess. She was the great mother goddess in Lower Egypt around 6000 BC to 3000 BC. Let's see if that she's also referenced in the Reaper. So the scorpion in the tree is sent by the goddess Serket as a guardian of protection to watch over the meditating monastic. Likewise, just as Serket protected Isis when the goddess was in seclusion, Serket will protect you in your solitary journey inwards. And then there's a few other goddesses that are connected with the scorpion. We got Mesopotamian goddess Ishara, and Malinlashkutsukov. Oh God, I don't know how to say that. It's a Mesoamerican sorceress goddess. Melina Solka. Sorry, I should know how to say this. I studied enough Mesoamerican stuff. So it blends Korean Buddhism, the Hollow Void, with ancient Egyptian religion. So that's why we have that blend of artwork. The astrological influences are the priestess and the chariot. The numerological, just like all of them, are the emperor, the reaper, and the initiate. It's hard to forget about the reaper with that scorpion and the chalice made from the downed crown. Right? Mather's attribution is blended pleasure. So it's all about contemplating the meaning of life, where you are on your path, etc. So moving on here, we have the Convalescence, Four of Swords. So this deck is definitely very multicultural. It really calls to mind the RWS Four of Swords to me. Just instead of medieval, we got it more classical, like Greek kind of stuff. So here we have a fallen warrior recuperating after battle, still in full armor, now in Fubato, or temple sleep, resting inside an Episcopalian or an Athenian healing temple. 3 swords hang in the balance, their points directed at the warrior's crown, mouth, and chest. A 4th sword underneath is for when the warrior is ready to take up the fight again. The center stone on the hilts of the 3 swords are in the colors of the Tria Prima. So those tiny stones, you can see we got red, yellow, and blue. Right? Center stone on the 4th card here is green. Right? They represent access to the four worlds, calling to mind the four building blocks in the four of orbs. Four building blocks in different colors. We'll get to that. The Greek goddess Iaso, a goddess of recuperation and recovery from illness, appears through the window. She holds the amphoria containing the universal medicine, an elixir whose recipe she shares with her sister, Panacea. Her amphoria is painted in the red figural pottery style. She is the daughter of Asclepius, granddaughter of Apollo. Asclepius is the Greek god of health. His staff is shown with a single snake that was the symbol of healing. It often got confused with the staff of Hermes, which is a double snake, the caduceus. So the staff of Asclepius, again, I'm probably mangling that name, Asclepius, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, was so confused with the sign, like the staff of Hermes, that modern medicine adopted the staff of Hermes, which means peace, instead of the staff of Asclepius, which means heal. So kind of interesting, huh? She's dressed as a Greek woman would in the classical period. She wears a peplos and over a yellow dark violet emation, or a mantle that is draped on the body, tucked under the right shoulder and over the left. So the yellow that we see predominant is in reference to the air element. Right? Astrologically, the primordial influences are the wheel of life and the chancellor. Numerologically, they're all connected to the emperor, the reaper, and the initiate. And Mather's attribution is rest from strife. Your spirit guides are telling you to take a break. You need rest. You need to give yourself more time to recover from all the ways you've depleted your body and your life force. If you don't retreat for some solitude and healing time, then you will lose more than you're willing to bargain for. Here in the Four of Orbs, the conservator. Sorry, I didn't get much sleep last night. There's a lot to take in on this image, isn't there? Just like all of these images. I mean, both of these have got things hidden that you have to, like, if you don't know it's there, how are you gonna read it? That's why I love this book of maps. It really helps. So we have a human figure with a goat head embodying Capricornus, sits upon a throne that isn't there, right? There's no throne. Looks like he's sitting on a throne. Dressed in the style of a Russian boyar, an aristocrat. Mother of God, softener of evil heart, icons are visible from behind the hoarding noble's head, as if gazing down on not just him, but what his world has become. The boyar's palace is an exhibition of extravagance, boasting an impressive collection of fine art. Here we see the product of created nature, after a creator has mastered the art of creation. Above his head, in his arms, and at his feet are a total of 4 orbs, colored in correspondence to the 4 elemental worlds. The 4 cubic blocks, blue for water at the top left, red for fire at the top right, yellow for air at the top, our bottom left, green for earth on the bottom right, convey earthly power, echoing the thought sort of difference. Here's a bigger blow up of the image, so you can see a little better that there's saints and angels. The background is actually full of paintings. They're actually famous paintings. She has a list. It's near the back here. So the conservator is one who has mastered the art of construction, a power that is now closely guarded and used to conserve, to preserve, rather than to give, to share, and to distribute. There is no advancement here, although there is security and surety. Medieval Moscow painters Andrei Rublev's icon painting the Trinity from 1410, that's this image here at the top. Yeah. That's that image there. It was painted in 1410. Looks down from the ceiling of the hoarding. The back wall, I don't know here. I know. I'll just wait until we get to the page that has the unfettered image. So the primordial influences are the warrior, the demon, numerologically, the emperor, the reaper, the initiate. Mather's attribution is earthly power. Right? This is talking about clinging to your power instead of using it for good, basically. Not wanting to share. Here is the background without any of the foreground. And as you can see, Benebell has literally packed this full of actual paintings. She has her own blue mosque here, I believe it is. And the list, okay, so the background was inspired by the Jourdain staircase of the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, using as reference an 1866 painting of the same name. So it's a painting of a painting of paintings. Oh, wow. So instead of just reading off the list, I will just show you guys this. So this is what's on the left wall. This is what's on the right wall. This is what's on the ceiling. And then miscellaneous paintings that are scattered throughout the image. So that is a lot of paintings. And they're paintings of a painting of the paintings. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. We have finished the forward. It took us 20 minutes. We're going to be here forever. Here we have the fives, which represent expanding. The fives represent the principle of motion coming to proper matter. Fives indicate destabilizing forces, yet necessarily destabilizing. The theme of the fives in the minor arcana is stress, and yet emerging from the tensions of conflict will be that which enables greatness. The five expresses the discernment of spirits, both good and evil. In the Kabbalistic tree of life, the realm of fives arise from the Sephirah Gevurah, the emanation of strength, the power to create change, and an active intelligence. This is warrior consciousness, perspiration, the source of courage, and that which is the inner drive. To expand, you must first correct, and to correct, you must put strength and resilience to the test. Rectification brings expansion. We start here with the five of scepters, the contender. A lot going on here, huh? I say that for every card, don't I? In the foreground, we have five rods form the Proto-Norse Elder Fuzark rune Ingwaz, which petitions Yngvi, son of Odin, the progenitor of kings. 5 hands of 5 princes extend their scepters in battle to be the king. The 5 rods also symbolize the essential nature of strife in this card. Fingers point outwards, as if blaming others for their troubles, unrest, and the instabilities that have come to pass. The closed fist symbolizes belligerence. See, the fingers all look like they're pointing. This one's holding on to 2. And looks like snake heads here. 2 serpents of unequal size bite the opposite ends of a rod. The tails of the 2 serpents are both visible in the frame, suggesting that the 2 are intertwined, and yet they fight each other to be separated. There's one tail for this one, and this tail for this one. Behind the focal point of the 5 rods is Medea as a maiden, sorceress, and priestess of Hecate. Here goes this peacock again. Granddaughter of the sun god Helios and niece to Circe. Hecate herself makes an appearance later in the 9 of scepters, supporting the spirit of the pugilist. Here, her maiden priestess is supporting the spirit of the contender. In her right hand, Medea is holding a bouquet of angelic flower blossoms. Oh, it's kind of hidden there, but it is there. So behind that top hand, you can kind of see her hand with a bunch of flowers. Kind of hard to see. The camera's not picking up nearly as well as my eye is, but it's there. In Scandinavian shamanic cultures and in traditional Chinese medicine, angelica is considered a powerful plant for both healing medicine and for poison. Its use requires a learned, experienced hand. Its species name is A. archangela, derived from the Greek word archangelos, meaning archangel, in reference to the lore that archangels taught humanity how to use the plants for medicine. In her left hand, the priestess holds an amphora featuring a Nazar evil eye and tropatic, meaning protective talisman, that turns away and thwarts the evil eye. It's that, I don't know if you guys have seen it before, the Middle Eastern blue eye. Here is a better image, a bigger image. Let's see if we can get those flowers that she's holding. Just as hard to see here as on the card. The back of the head pictured is Jason, who Medea falls in love with. Medea betrays her father, decides to support Jason's fight to be king, right? The whole Jason the Argonauts and everything, right? Then we go really into the golden fleece, which you can see here in the background, right? So, right through that doorway, there's the golden fleece. The color red is associated with Hecate, so the temple decor is red here to imply the presence of Hecate, the workings of unseen magic. So here, instead of the golden fleece being on an oak tree, Benebell has taken artistic license and put it inside the temple. And the temple see anything about the temple, but there is a good picture of it. You can kind of see that golden fleece a little better. So moving on, we have the 5 of chalices, the grotesque. A cloaked Viscount holds a wilting Delilah with its petals falling, an omen of unease and caution. The setting is northern Russia during the Smata, or time of troubles, 1598 to 1613. The dahlia here is reminiscent of the energy dynamic of the tower. The planetary ruler over the 5 of chalices, Mars. The Viscount is intentionally hiding his appearance. The implication here is that of a figure who is odd or unnatural in physique, who is born with a trait that might not be acceptable to society, so he conceals his true nature. At the cloak Viscount's feet, we have 3 overturned chalices spill forth water, blood, and oil. The spilled chalices also represent extended blood, sweat, and tears that have yielded no fruition or meaning. Yet behind him, which figure cannot see, are the 2 intact chalices from the angel or temperance card, the numerological ruler of the 5s. Scorpio manifests as a golden eagle and soars overhead, a prophecy that someday the grotesque one shall rise. Past failures is paving a path for future success. On the other side of the stream, stones are in the formation of a pentagram, like the one sewn into the back of the figure's cloak. The pentagram is emblematic of the master craftsman with virtuosity and powers over both the physical and spiritual realms. Around 300 BC in Mesopotamia, the pentagram was used as an amulet for protection, with the 5 points representing the 4 directions plus the 5th direction above. And there's more about pentagrams. I'm not going to go into it because I feel like a lot of you guys already know what pentagrams mean. In the distance beyond the streams here, we have a Rusalka appears in the waters, larger than life. She wears a blue seraphim. The embroidery and pearls suggest she was once a wealthy urbanite. There's a picture here, a little different, but it's her basically. So Rusalki are a form of female spirit entities associated with the waters in Slavic folklore. Popularized around the 1800s, the Rusalki started to take on negative connotations, though prior to that in Slavic paganism, the Rusalki were seen as beneficent, or at very least neutral. They're shapeshifters, they can cast illusions, they can transform, not just their own appearance, but transform the circumstances of those who call out to her for help. This is the spirit of the grotesque, one who intrigues and yet also repulses society. The grotesque is, as Flannery O'Connor puts it, a unique kind of distortion that reveals new paradigms. There's also a subtext of supernatural influence when the spirit of the grotesque is tailing you in your readings. The skies above, between the Rusalka and the eagle, is the constellation Orion. Let's see that. Bye, Chris and Louise. I'm Anasa. Thanks for lurking. The waterfall here along the horizon conveys the only constant is change. This too shall pass. In classical East Asian symbolism, juxtaposition of mountainous rocks and a waterfall represented a tempering of energetic opposites, the alchemical synergy of yin combining with yang. So did I do the Primordial influences, the last part, I think I skipped that, didn't I? So astrological influences here are New World Order, the Fourth. Numerologically, these are the Holy See and the Angel. Mather's attribution is strife. That's a low plane. So the grotesques, astrological influences are the Tower and the Reaper, and numerologically, all fives are connected to the Holy See and the Angel. Mather's attribution is loss in pleasure. Next, we have Five of Swords, the Hector. The Sacred Bull from Key 5, the Hierophant, the numerological ruler of fives, manifests in the earthly realm as the Hector. Here is one who possesses great capabilities and exploits it for personal gain. His left boot features a triquetra. Here, bring that up a little closer. There's the triquetra on the boot. And a triskel is tattooed on his right hand. Rune Uruz for physical strength, agility, speed, and stamina. Thurazas for strength. Thurazas, for resistance, destroying your opponent, catharsis. Hagaz for wrath and destructive force. And Manaz for the self are stitched into his leather sling. 5 drops of blood on the swords represent the 5 sacred wounds. The raven is a messenger from the spirit realm, a warning of what is to come. Beyond the clouds is a reference to the Trojan War, which was first set into motion when the goddess Eris threw the golden apple of discord at Hera. Athena and Aphrodite and the 3 goddesses fought to retrieve the apple to prove which among them was the fairest goddess of them all. Since they could not settle the dispute, Zeus appointed Paris of Troy to adjudicate. Paris ruled that Aphrodite was the most beautiful, and therefore the apple of discord was granted to her. As a reward, Aphrodite promised that Paris would have as his wife the most beautiful woman, Helena, who was already married to a Spartan. Aphrodite caused Helen to fall in love with Paris, and she ran off to Troy with Paris. This launched the great Sparta, the Greeks, their allies, and Troy. This launched a great war between Sparta, their allies, and Troy. The Trojan warrior on the left is in golden armor, protected by Aphrodite, is Hector. The Greek warrior on the right, protected by Athena in her owl form, is Achilles. Right? This is the duel between Hector and a heartbroken, enraged Achilles out for vengeance, the battle during which Hector lost his life. And then we go a whole bunch about the Trojan War and about Hector fighting. The one-on-one combat between Hector and Achilles expresses Benebell's interpretation of the Five of Swords to a different depiction from the RWS Five of Swords. Primordial influences, astrological, we've got the Empress, the Healer, numerological, the Holy See, and the Angel. Mather's attribution is defeat. One quick sip. Hi, Tony. Oh my God, I've only done 8 cards out of the 28, and it's already been 40 minutes. I might leave some of these for next week, I think. Yeah, probably gonna have to happen. That's okay. We will get through as many as I am capable. As you can tell, with the sound of my voice starting to go already, I will last as long as I can. But excuse me if my voice starts getting a little hard to hear. So our final 5 is the Flag of Orbs, the Vagabond. The mendicant sets down his crutches and kneels before the gates of a synagogue, a shul. Twin posts form a gateway. The top features lotus blossoms, and below them, though off frame, are pomegranate seeds. Off frame. Okay. We'll have to take her word for it. Combined between the 2 pillars, there are 5 petals visible, symbolizing the 5 aggregates of suffering, sensation, consciousness, physical forms, perception, and thought forms. No, let's see this here. This in the sky is Abraham's stone, the Zohar, descends from the heavens to illuminate the temple. The color of the 4 wheels shimmer within the jewel. This is the stone of healing and the stone of fortunes that the mendicant has been seeking. The vagabond is one afflicted with pain, one who has been wandering, lost and adrift. Now he is at the threshold of finding what he has been searching for, but first he confronts his shadow. Seeing it, the mendicant fears that he is unworthy of entering the sanctuary. He worries that he doesn't belong, and yet the Zohar glows, inspiring and comforting. On the other side, beyond the threshold, is the holy temple. Built brick by brick, the front courtyard leading to the temple is also laid with brick. The bricks here are a pictorial reminder of the phrase, bricks without straw, a biblical reference to Exodus 5. Okay. This is symbolic of having to undertake a task without adequate resources. It is having to make bricks without being given the materials necessary for brickmaking. And yet, the magnificence of what has been constructed stands as a revelatory testament of overcoming great odds to prevail. The final message of the vagabond is one of hope. Address material troubles with spiritual solutions. The synagogue depicted in the 5 orbs was inspired by the Romanesque architecture that many notable synagogues across Central and Eastern Europe were constructed in. And here is an image of the full synagogue with no foreground, nothing blocking it. No, Tony, I don't pick small subjects. Yes, it's just like, that's why I think one of the reasons why Gerald and I get along so well, we're both overachievers. I just realized it's a little tilted. I must have knocked it by accident. Sorry about that. The primordial influences for this card. Astrologically, it's the Magus and the Holy See. Numerologically, it's the Holy See and the Angel. Mather's attribution is material trouble. The spirit resident in this card is the vagabond, a wanderer who seeks a sense of home and identity, and also one who is still in search for meaning. There is both a fear that there is no meaning and also hope that a greater divine purpose exists. This is the spirit of restlessness, the spirit of the nomad, and a transcendent necessary for the wanderer-seeker to leave behind the material and cross over the threshold into the realm of the spiritual. We got through the 5s. Let's see what the 6s have in store for us. So the 6s is the realm of nurturing. Pythagoreans call the number 6 the number of the soul. This is harmony between heaven, earth, and man. After the material world is formed, it remains connected to the spirit realm from where it came, and the 6s in the minor arcana are the remaining tethers and bridge between the material and the spirit. In the Kabbalistic tree of life, the realm of 6s arise from the Sephirah Tiferet, the emanation of heart-centered consciousness, the quest for balance, and Pulveride. Crowley considers Tiferet to be the most important of all. It is the center of the whole system. It is the only Sephirah below the abyss which communicates directly with Kether. The 4 6s are thus representative of their respective elements at their practical best. This is the consciousness of spiritual teaching. 6 is of particular importance in the Tarot as the deck itself resonates with the numerological frequency wave of 6. 7 plus 8 is 15, 1 plus 5 is 6. Here we have the 6 of Scepters, the champion. A warrior queen, adorned and crowned with amber from one of the northern tribes, sits upon her throne, which features Odin's wolves, Gary and Freaky, cast in bronze. One of the 6 scepters is punctured into her leg. See little drops of blood there too. Though she is oblivious to the pain, upon closer study, her expression is one of pride and even self-congratulation. The champion is the spirit of confidence and conviction. It is the resolve, grit, and the sacrifices that the gods demand of you for victory. At the steps of her feet is a harvested single-born fruit from the tree of knowledge. We're making so much shade. Shady. And that is single fruit born from the tree of knowledge, which the phoenix in the lovers had guarded. The floor of her dominion features tiles of nightshade, a blossom also known as the blue witch. Though the common nightshade has 5 petals, the champion's nightshade has 6, symbolizing its genetic and thus inherent rarity. Like the 6-petaled nightshade, you too are of an exceptional and unique breed. This is the background without any of the foreground. It's like an apothecary thing. Displayed behind the champion are the many jars of enemies she has beheaded. Oh, okay, that changes things. I totally was thinking herbal room when I saw the jars, and like they were full of heads. This detail in the illustration expresses the practice of Iron Age Celts who would behead their enemies, embalm the heads in cedar oil, and store those heads in jars as trophies. Wow. Wow. The portrayal of the warrior queen doesn't convey a blue blood, meaning she doesn't look like one who was born into royalty and bred to be queen, inheriting the title by birthright. Rather, she looks like she seized that title by willpower and self-determination. Featured along the back wall is the name of the Norse god Tyr, written in the runic alphabet. as copied from an 18th century Icelandic manuscript. So let me see. Oh, I see. Actually, there's a better image here. It's in these top. These right here, basically. And the page that it was taken from is right here, full page. So that's where the runes come from for the image, right there. Tyr sacrificed his right hand as a lure so the other gods could bind Fenrir, right? So it's about sacrifice for the greater good. Hanging high on the walls behind the champions, you can see high up on the wall. You can kind of see it. It's basically these amulets here are hanging there. She's collected, so it's trinkets she's collected from her adventures. And they were drawings that Benebell did of actual Celtic archaeological artifacts that have been found. So we have the green four-pointed cross is most likely a talisman. The second was a predator tooth. That's weird, I don't see the predator tooth. See, I'm not seeing it, but oh, okay. I think it's there's a bunch of them here in the corner. Fashioned into a talisman, then common sculpture looks like a headless Venus of Woldendorf, then divination spoons, also known as druid spoons. Astrologically, this card is influenced by the Wheel of Life and the Force. Numerologically, it's connected to the lovers and the deep. Mather's attribution is victory. Your hard work and sacrifice pay off. You will be the victor. You are the champion. We are the champions, my friends. Okay. We're champions for sticking this out, right? Next, Six of Chalices, Memory Keeper. Oh, it's a dragon. The phoenix says, babies. Oh, that's a sweet touch. Six chalices containing the six blessings of pleasure appear between hatchlings of a phoenix and a dragon. So the blessings are amor for love and passions, prosperitas for good fortunes, gloria for fame, and the names are actually on here. Let me show you the bigger image here. The names are actually on the cups themselves. So amor for love and passions, prosperitas for fortunes, gloria for fame and glory, votum for hope, ducus for honors and distinctions, and letitia for joy and cheer. Across the river over here is a scene of Neolithic Austronesians, the ancestors of indigenous Oceania. These intrepid masters of the seas originated from the island of Taiwan as early as 10,000 BC. To the left, here, we have an elder memory keeper of the tribe's histories. They are rereading the story of their foremothers and forefathers, which are carved and painted upon the land poles. There's actually a couple land poles that are kind of hidden by the cups. At the same time, she watches a youth in the distance practicing a ceremonial dance. There's the elder. Off in the distance, you can just faintly see the ceremonial dance. Very, very small. In the background, connecting this key to one of its astrological rulers, key 13, the seafarer rows along the inland coast. That's even smaller than the dancer. So behind the dancer, you can see, just to focus, the fisherman way off in the distance there. To the right, standing is a diviner. She holds a conch to her left ear to hear the whispers of the river goddess. In her right hand, she holds an incense bowl, tendrils of smoke waft up from her incense offerings. Through the vision shown to her in the smoke and the whispers she hears through the conch, she gives guidance to her people. Two are seated in front of her, listening intently. Actually, I just realized, let's see. You kind of see things a little better in the image in the book because it just hit it. So you can see those tendrils a little better, tendrils of smoke in the conch. She's holding to her ear. Oh, and here's the background without any of the foreground. No cups, no hatchlings. In Maori, the memory keeper and the diviner are tohunga. In Hawaiian, they are kahuna. Polynesians, which encompass the Maori, the Hawaiian and Maui, and many of the indigenous groups found in Oceania, are a subset of the Austronesian ancestry, born from the Lapita, a prehistoric culture resident on the Pacific Islands since about 1600 BC. The card's energy can be subdivided into 3 vertical columns of scenes. The leftmost column above the baby phoenix is the past. The center column with the 6 stacked chalices is the present, and learning to enjoy the present in the present. The rightmost column above the baby dragon is the future to come, where we see the divining Tohunga reading prophetic omens to reveal the future. When this card shows up, there is fluidity between these 3 segments of space-time. Your past is re-emerging in the present or coming future. Your future is related to what was set in motion far in your past, and the answer you seek is resident in your memories. The yellow 6-petal daffodils symbolize joy, fond memories, cheer, new beginnings, and rebirth, and nostalgia. The daffodil is also known as the narcissus flower, and so while it is here to symbolize all the positive attributes listed, the dark side to memory emerges when taken to the extreme. It becomes an exercise of vanity, of fixating our admiration on that which now is just a mirage. Primordial influences, astrologically, it's connected to the warrior, the reaper. Numerologically, connected to the lovers, the demon. Matthew's attribute, pleasure. Here we have the 6 of Swords now. The Quester. The spirit of the quester wields a sword in her left hand, and in the right presents the astrological glyph for Mercury. This is the universal alchemical Mercury wielding during active engagement of the alchemist's red work. In the tria prima of salt, mercury, and sulfur, Mercury is the etheric conduit between the material realm of salt and the spirit realm of sulfur. The alchemical red work is the state of grace, the full moon of one's progress. This is pleroma, or fullness. Many voices, many ideas and concepts, and a diversity of inspiration are converging. The quaestor is both a navigator and the passenger of a boat that has just made its way through a rocky, narrow isle across the vast seas. The moon hanging low over the narrow isle represents volatile emotions. The quester leaves that state behind and aspires for clarity of mind, objectivity, and rationalism. Inscribed upon the 6 swords are the 6 steps to an early medieval incarnation of the scientific method. Conspicio for observation, descriptio for division and classification, metior for measuring, communicato for communicating and sharing, conjectura for inference, and predictio for prediction. I think you can see the words a little better on the image of the book. You can see them that well. That's on page 445 if you have the book and you're following along. Etched into the boat here, we have the alchemical glyph for squaring the circle, which symbolizes the great work, a quest for the philosopher's stone. The squared circle expresses unity of the 4 directions, and so here it is also a reminder that the seeker to hold panoramic, holistic vision of the circumstances at hand. In the boat behind her is an alchemical vessel. Right behind her, basically. Filled with a solution based on a formula she conceived. The colors of the vessel are rose for the king color scale. Oh, here goes the peacock. It's right there. Wait, what was I? Oh yeah, colors of the vessel are rose for the king color scale correspondence to the 6s, and the golden yellow for the queen color scale correspondences. The illustration of the quester was inspired by one of the earliest recorded female alchemists and scientists of ancient history, Mary the Jewess, also known as Maria Prophetissima or Mary the Prophetess, who is believed to have lived sometime between 100 AD and 300 AD. The discovery of hydrochloric acid is attributed to her, along with the axiom of Maria. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, out of the 3 comes the 1 as the 4th. The axiom is pictorially memorialized in key 1 the Magnus, one of the astrological rulers of the quester, through Mercury. The red star in the sky here, again. Bright red star in the sky is Arcturus, a red giant that is brighter, older, and larger than the sun in our own solar system. In Chinese astrology, Arcturus was part of the celestial king's throne, Tianhuang, and the star itself was called the Great Horn, meaning the horn of the azure dragon. More talks about the star. Homer makes reference to the constellation as a celestial reference for navigation. Interesting. Astrologically, the primary influences are the Magus, the healer. Numerologically connected to the lovers and the demon. Mathur's attribution is earned success. Next, we have the Six of Orbs, the Giver. Above, a hand reaches. Again. Above, a hand reaches down to give. Below, a hand reaches up to receive. And yet, from an equivalent perspective, the hand below sends up to give, and above, a hand reaches out to receive. The lower hand in the illustration wears kara. That's the bracelet. It's an iron bracelet symbolizing the never-ending presence of divinity. Here, the first line of the Mole mantra is inscribed on the bracelet. Ik Onkar Sat Nam Naam Karata Puraka. Probably totally mangled that. We have a close-up of that hand actually showing the words and also showing the amazing henna tattoos on the hand as well. In the foreground, the orb in the hand, with the assurance of more to follow, expresses the spirit of the Thoth interpretation for the Six of Discs, success. Balancing scales show two orbs being measured and found to be of equivalent weight. At its center fulcrum is the Sikh symbol for Ik Onkar. Bring that up again. That symbol in the middle. It's the Sikh symbol for Ik Onkar, expressing the core belief of the faith. There is one universal divinity. That divinity is eternal truth. Eternal truth is the creator, immortal and without form, beyond the cycle of birth and death, self-existent. Such is the revelation from the Mul mantra, or Mul mantar, the Holy Scripture. The two colors of precious stones adorning the balancing scales are green jade and blue jade. We got the green jade here. It's very small. So those tiny little dots. Really see the blue or the green kind of fades in. So blue on the right, green on the left. Aloha, April. And there's nothing, you're not late. I mean, I'm putting this up for everyone to be able to watch again and again while they're working with the deck. So there's no late here. The jade symbolizes heaven or divinity on earth. A progressive faith that aligns with social justice values. Sikhism espouses class, racial, and gender equality. The humanitarian values of Sikhism are a poetic expression of the spirit of a Rider-Waite-Smith interpretation for the Six of Pentacles. The man pictured here carries a kirpan or dagger that symbolizes a Sikh's affirmative duty to defend those in peril. That is, let's see if I can't really see it, but I can see it to the naked eye, but the same color as the scale, so it kind of, I hope you can see that. All right, so that's the dagger. So a doorway between which the hand above and the hand below engage is designed in tribute to South Asian architectural elements. Oh, here we go. Here's the people. You can see he's got the dagger on his waist. Sikh means discipline or learner. In the background, between the equally weighted orbs, a Punjabi Sikh man and woman extend their right hand toward each other. exchanging gifts. The woman offers the man a mango fruit, a symbol of love, affluence, good fortune, and material fulfillment. The man gives the woman a persimmon fruit, a symbol of longevity, divine knowledge, and spiritual fulfillment. The mango harvest season is after the spring equinox, and the persimmon harvest season is its polarity, the autumnal equinox. Close-up of the two fruits here. Aloha, Amy. Welcome. So the primordial influences, astrologically, is the priestess and the holy sea, numerologically, the lovers and the demon, like all the sixes. When the giver appears in, Mather's attribution is material sixes. When the giver appears in your reading, a gain and prosperity is coming your way. There is attainment. You are being honored and valued for who you are. You are seen. What you did not have before, you shall now receive. This is the spirit of patronage. The giver is also a spiritual reminder to pay it forward. The blessings conferred upon you are the same blessings for you to confer upon others. And then we have an unblocked image of the background. Right. So there. Those are the sixes. Trying to think about how much I've got left in me because my voice is starting to really go. I think we can get through the sevens and then I'll leave the 8, 9s, and 10s for next week. And if you want a shorter, quicker explanation for these cards, I also have the link to Benebell's videos for this. So. Yes, Amy, I am definitely a book tabber. If I'm doing a deep dive, I want to be able to go straight to the thing I'm looking for without having to like flip back and forth. It's kind of reminiscent from my early college days when I was getting a bachelor. Well, I was supposed to get a bachelor's in history and anthropology, but I ended up just getting an anthropology bachelor's. So that's where that comes from. That, and you know, I really tapped my books in acupuncture school as well, because talk about needing to know a lot. Here's 50 herbs. You gotta have them memorized by next week when I give you 50 more, because the test is gonna have like 350 herbs on it. Yeah. Tabbing is your friend when that is the case. Anyway, back to the sevens, realm of sevens, reasoning. 7 is a sacred number that represents the divine law. Pythagoreans called it the number of life. And what is life but cycles of suffering and pain? Hence, the prevailing themes in the tarot sevens. In the Kabbalistic tree of life, the realm of 7 arises from the Sephirah Netzach, the emanation of optimism, faith, and an awareness of oneness. It is the emanation of endurance. The realm of 7s is the realm of knowledge and wisdom. This is the world-weary spirit. 7 also signifies challenge and interrogation. So we start with the 7 of scepters, the dark horse. At the edge of a cliff, an outnumbered, a hooded figure, an unknown, wields a staff and readies in fight stance. The opposition comes with 6 staves against the fighter's 1. The cliff's edge bottomless depth of blue below, and the cracked surface he stands upon symbolizes high stakes. Embroidered the left pant leg is a Visayan leopard cat native to the Philippine Isles. Let's bring it up closer so you can try and see it a little bit. So that is a leopard. Get it as close as I can. I don't know if you guys can even see the details on that. The leopard cat is considered an endangered or vulnerable species. Kali is a form of stick fighting in Philippine martial arts. Though the rattan sticks are typically under 3 feet in length, not full body length, as implied in this illustration. I took creative license so that the sticks could still be identifiable as the connecting scepters, wands, throughout the suit. In the background, on the side of the dark horse, appears Apolaki, the god of war, a patron deity of warriors and martial artists. Apolaki is also the sun god in the pantheon of Philippine folk religion. His mythology can be found among the Tagalog, Kapampangan, and Pangasian nations of Luzon in the Philippines, among others. The warrior archetype connects to Mars, and the sun is the planetary ruler of Leo. Here, Apolaki is representing the sword and dagger fighting style, wielding a kris in his right hand and a garab dagger in his left, with a wavy blade. Both blades are shaped in such a way reminiscent of thunderbolts, connecting the dark horse to key 16, the tower, one of its numerological rulers. Both of Apolaki's weapons are down in resting position because he knows the hooded fighter is highly skilled, valiant, and capable. The dark horse is the spirit of valor. And yet, just in case the dark horse may need support, Apolaki is present and ready. Apolaki's tattoos, I don't know if you can see that. It's going to focus. Focus. His tattoos are stylized symbols of the sun and of the primordial serpent, both symbolic of power, magic, and virility. Oh, here we have a bigger image. He's definitely tatted up, isn't he? Those weapons are kind of cool looking. The ornamental bands are symbols of the Bakmanawa, a serpent-like dragon in the Philippine mythos, and is connected to shamanism. The tattoo on Apolaki's neck is a symbol in reference to the Tambanokano, a scorpion or tarantula-like mythical creature. These tattoos affirm Apolaki's dominion over these creatures. The 4 spirals and crosses on his right arm, on his right forearm, is an expression of his sovereignty and rule over all 4 corners of the earth. The all-seeing eye is on the pad of his right thumb, but you can kind of see it. Let's see. I don't know if it's going to even pick that up. You can kind of see at the base of his thumb. More stuff about the history of the Philippines and Tagalog, the royalty. So, The spirit is the one of an underdog, right? Who is unknown at the moment, but about to emerge in prominence and glory. This is valor, the fighting spirit, an inner motivation to overcome all odds. It is marginalization personified, but it is also the power, the strength, the fearlessness, and audacity to overcome that marginalization. Primordial influences, we got the Tower, the Force. Numerologically, all of these guys are the Chariot, the Tower. So Seven of Scepters is connected to the Tower. Very interesting. Right? Next, we have the Seven of Chalices, the Corruptor. Oh, definitely, Tony. The book is a much, yeah, I mean, look at this. It's a tome. Like, it goes into all the details of every card, like, even stuff that, like, you can't actually see on the card, but it's there behind something else. And by knowing that it's there, it opens up the card in a way that, like, I don't even know how to describe it, like, because you're seeing things that are not to be seen, right? Unfortunately, both the deck and the book are out of print for the foreseeable future. I think Benebell was talking about doing another print run of the deck in 2023. I'm guessing she will update the Lulu offering. Oh, no, you know what? It's not that this is out of print, is that you can only order the book of maps and the matching journal. I'll show you guys that. You can only order the book and the matching journal once you've pre-ordered the deck, and she's not taking pre-orders. But I think if you reached out to her and asked to see the book, because you're planning on ordering the deck eventually, she might be willing to share. But yes, and then there's also a journal that I haven't started yet because I just in case I was going to share it next week. But let's get through our sevens since we're already almost at an hour and a half. Yes, and Amy says to Tony, definitely the guidebook is needed. I don't have any of her decks, but it does help with the finite details of her deck. Oh, right, Tony, because you're in the UK, right? So, I can't order anything from the UK right now. I want to get a bunch of the Sela Conway decks, but like it, I have to wait for like my birthday or something because it's just going to cost so much, and I might as well order a bunch of the decks all at once because it'd be more cost effective. Anyway, so back to the cups. 7 chalices, the corruptor. There are 7 chalices. A little higher so you can see all of the 7 chalices. The 7 chalices, and by each an allegorical depiction of a deadly sin. The animal symbols are taken from the 18th century Tableau de François Marie Blanot, bearing these correspondences. So I'm going to have to put it down to, or I guess I can just hold up this here so you can see. So the pig is gluttony, snake is envy, the peacock is pride, the snail is sloth, the lion is wrath, the toad is avarice, and the goat is lust. So that's our choices. Which one of the 7 deadly sins are we picking? Within each chalice is a wilting pink lily, reminiscent of the inverted pink lilies from the Thoth 7 of Cups and Lord of Debauch. The axe from the Tower card is seen here in the foreground, in front of a hand mirror, along with the axe's reflection. The axe, hold that up. The axe here symbolizes the cutting away of material attachments. The reflection of itself in the mirror expresses self-awareness, but also a paused moment of contemplation. What are you going to do with this self-awareness? Will you change, or will you still indulge in the material attachments? Below, we see the lighthouse of Alexandria that was also featured in the Two of Swords, the Blind Seer. Although here it's a view of the Mediterranean seas at night, a waxing crescent moon in the sky. See it up there near the top. The position of the moon in the skies let us know it's near midnight. Where the clouds part, we catch a glimpse of the Milky Way. Primordial influences astrologically connect to the Empress and the Reaper. Numerologically connected to the Chariot and the Tower. Mather's attribution is illusionary success. And here is the image in a much bigger version of the image. That's the other reason why you might want to get the book, just because you get a lot of details. I mean, here you get to see where the idea of the 7 deadly sins comes from. Right? The 7 deadly sins, Tableau de François-Marie Valor. The corrupter is a threshold guardian warning you not to proceed. You are facing and thus about to head down the wrong direction. Take caution, self-reflect. Are you truly following your own values and greater good? Slow down and take a little more time to observe your surroundings. Are you being objective, or are you being subjugated by emotionally driven impulses? Here we have the 7 of Swords, the rogue. Focus, focus, focus. The rogue. There's a lot going on in this guy. It's like all of them, right? The foreground illustrates the story of Loki cutting off Sif's beautiful locks of golden hair, the color of grains. This act is a variation of the RWS 7 of Swords imagery, where a figure is running off with an armlet of swords, looking behind him with a mischievous smile, checking to make sure no one is following him. Sif is the North goddess of plenitude and the grains, affinity, fertility, family, and marriage, mother of might and magnificence. She was also a seer. Loki's trickster energies associated him with the elements of air, with logic and the dialect, disputes, argumentation. The goddess Sif, sleeping, is a representation of dormant intuition. Loki, with sword in hand, cutting off her hair, is the dialectic striking at spiritual perceptivity. And elemental dignitaries, air and earth, weaken each other. They are in conflict, and in this snapshot of a scene, air has overtaken earth. The mind, thoughts, and the intellect are the weakening barriers to material success. In the background, here, kind of hidden behind the swords, we see a trickster fox spirit. In Chinese lore, she is the Wuling Jing, a shape-shifting magical being who can bring prosperity as quickly as she can bring misfortune. The fox spirit is a common familiar of the witch. In Japanese mythos, this is a kutsuni, and in Korean, gimiho. Her demeanor implies the impression that she is the source cause of all that is happening. A comet shoots across the skies. Since antiquity and in agreement among otherwise desperate cultures, seeing a comet was interpreted as a bad omen, signifying the displeasure of the gods. In Magnolian lore, the comet was known as the daughter of a demon. Oh, I just noticed we have a snail. The snail from the Seven of Chalices, the corrupter, appears in the lower foreground, symbolizing sloth. Another interpretation of this vice of sloth is apathy, lacking care and lacking sincere compassion. This is mischief brought on as a result of boredom and idleness. It's not evil per se, but rather a lack of interest in the good. Let's see, where is here? In the background, somewhat concealed by clouds, is a gathering of silhouettes. This is in tribute to the background imagery of the gathering in the RWS Seven of Swords. Stones set into the hilts of the swords are aquamarines. She was so graceful as to show us in detail. So that's what's in the background on this card, and then it's directly lifted from the RWS Seven of Swords. So the primordial influences are the priestess, the healer. Numerologically, all of these are the chariot and the tower. Mather's attribution is unstable effort. Seven of Swords is about using your wits or even clever turn of words to take for yourself something that doesn't belong to you. It can also suggest someone trying to take the shortcut to success, but when it comes to long-term impact, taking this shortcut is going to cause more trouble than it's worth. The rogue is the spirit of risk-taking that operates in the gray area. Why are you grumbling at me, little girl? I know. Soon. I got one card left, and then we'll say goodbye to everyone, and then I'll let you out, okay? You're fine. Just wait a minute. So now we have the Seven of Orbs, known as the Gardener. There are 7 orbs, 3 forming an inverted triangle, the chalice, calling upon the symbolism of the triquetra and the triskelion. This is the symbol of a doorway. Here it hints at the presence of a goddess. The lower 4 orbs form a rectangle, anchoring the spirit essence in earth, order, rationalization, form, and security. It is the construction of physical matter. And then, Mimi, shush. No, you need to wait. Oh my God, she's so pushy sometimes. So in the background, it's going to be hard to show on the card itself, but in the background, we have all these plants: barley, corn, mustard, peas, potato, radish, and turnip. Underneath the weeping willow tree grows barley, potatoes, peas, mustard, corn, turnips, and radishes, common crops of Tibet. This is an illustration depicting subsistence agriculture, meaning the cultivation of food crops. This is right behind her here, right? At the small scale for your own family or just for your community. Perched in the tree is a male Himalayan monal, a 9-colored pheasant bird. I'll just show you the picture here. So that's what's in the tree. Right about there. It's hard to see in the tree. It's a 9-colored pheasant bird with iridescent plumage. Himalayan monals are symbolic of wealth, fertility, and an abundant harvest, and status, which is why it's highly prized among poachers who hunt male monals for their rainbow crest. They're also the national bird of Nepal. The Himalayan monal is known to be a friendly, trusting bird and thus easy to domesticate. In the foreground, we have a farm girl with her eyes closed, contemplating and wearing an expression of personal disappointment. She is adorned with all of her family heirlooms, symbolizing her close bond and affinity with her ancestral lines. The headdress features Tibetan turquoise, while her necklaces are strung with Tibetan coral, more turquoise, and disease beads. Z beads. It's DZI. Z beads are amulets of protection similar to the Mediterranean evil eye amulet. Okay. The girl's disappointment comes from a fear that the choices she has made in her life path won't please her ancestors. She fails to walk the path of destiny because she desires to walk a path of her own making. The girl wears her hair in micro braids. She has already undergone the rite of passage. Traditionally, Tibetan women wore their hair long. Micro braiding was one way the women preserved and presented their long hair. The total number of micro braids would correspond with intentions or blessings for prosperity and wisdom. The common number was 108 braids, a numerological sign of Buddhist faith and spiritual devotion. Colorful cords, dyed string, and ornamental beads are woven into the braids to indicate social status. Hair braiding was ceremonial. When a girl became a woman, she would undergo a hair braiding ceremony as a rite of passage. The women tasked to braid the girl's hair would have to be carefully vetted for virtue, personal history, and karma, and only a woman who passed moral muster was permitted to braid the girl's hair. Dominating the background is a willow tree, which corresponds with the zodiac sign Taurus. In biblical symbolism, the willow tree represents a perpetual source of nourishment and resource. Willows are also sacred in Tibetan mysticism. Hi, little girl. I know, soon. We're almost done. We're so close to being done. A little more patience, please. Willows are also sacred in Tibetan mysticism, believed to hold powerfully magical properties and can be used in divination. In many Asian agrarian cultures, rituals and prayers to heaven asking for rain were done for a sacred willow tree. In folk medicine, willow bark is used in the same way as aspirin. The willow is associated with the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, or Kuan Yin to the Han Chinese, and symbolizes truth. Top left corner, faint, but it is the constellation Canis Major. The brightest star in the constellation is Sirius. Per Greek mythology, the Canis Major constellation is the mythical dog Laelaps, who could catch whatever it hunted. It set its sights on the Tunisian fox, a fox that could never be caught. Their immortalized chase of the hunter and the hunted is expressed in this celestial constellation. Chinese astronomers refer to Canis Major as the celestial wolf. Canis Major is located adjacent to Orion. Babylonians interpreted Sirius as pointing an arrow toward Orion, featured in the skies of the Five of Chalices. Astrologically, connected to New World Order, the Holy See. Numerologically, the Chariot and the Tower. Mather's attribution, success unfulfilled. You are contemplating the prospects of an achievement. Past hard work has paid off, and there are several different fruits of your labor you could harvest, but you hesitate because you're not sure which of these fruits are most ripe. This is hard work completed and the fruits of your labor showing, but inaction causing a lack of actual harvest. That was another sound that the peacocks make, that honking sound. That is the sevens. I will do the 8, 9s, and 10s next week because we are at an hour and 40. I don't want to be running into anyone else's lives. So yeah, the 8s, 9s, and 10s we will do next week before I go into how we use the cards. As you can see I'll just show you on the 7s. The bottom left-hand corner has parts of the I Ching hexagrams. And so you would take 2 cards, line them up, and the two together would make your hexagram. But we'll talk about that next week. This is more about just the cards themselves, right? What details are hidden, and just the meaning. I feel like studying this deck is also helping me really get more knowledgeable about tarot in general. But I feel like every time I read anything by Benebell, that's almost always the case, right? That when she is sharing knowledge, it is a plethora of knowledge, and I feel my brain swelling every time. Thank you, everyone who is here for the live. We have we've got 12 cards left. So we will finish the 12 cards next week. I will do the quick overview of the I Ching, and then I will close out this section, and I'll actually be doing 2 lives next week, because after part 5, I will go live with Betsy Palmer for readings, and I will be using the Spirit Keepers Tarot for those readings with Betsy. So then we can actually like use it, right? Let's put the deck in use, and see how it goes, right? See what kind of things get triggered by these cards now that I've really studied them in depth with you guys. And if you are watching the replay, please put below how this deck reads different for you than most tarot. I know there's so much detail, there's so much folded into these individual cards. You could pretty much read it almost any way, which I think was Benebell's idea in the first place. So thank you, everyone. This is part 4 of a 5-part deep dive into the Spirit Keepers Tarot Revelation Edition by Benebell Wen. Thanks for being here, and until next time, aloha and hui ho. Thank you, everyone in the chat, and thank you, everyone who's watching.